real quick. Just another inspirational moment. It seems like Saturdays is just Saturday afternoon, Saturday evenings. Seems to be like my time to just kind of share some thoughts, share some things I've been meditating on, whatever the case may be. Very, very busy day for me. Getting a lot of things together. Family coming in. Back to Basics conference will be starting this week. Trying to get the house together. A lot of stuff going on. But the thought that came to me and was just within my spirit most of the day is that sometimes you have to weather the storm. Sometimes you got to weather the storm. And as I begin to meditate on weathering the storm, as I begin to process that thought, what that meant was there's no shortcuts. What that meant was there was no easy way of doing things. There was no easy way of going around it. Weathering the storm is going step by step to accomplish whatever goal, whatever destination it is. There's no easy way. Oftentimes, we don't want to weather the storm because it seems like that process is very long. And you often hear me say things like, that process is making you. But, weathering the storm helps us to learn the importance of persevering. So you'll never know how to persevere until you weather the storm. You'll never learn how to be patient until you weather the storm. So it's so very important that we understand the importance of weathering the storm. There's just going to be some seasons where, there's some easier way to do some things, and then some seasons that we go through. Some seasons we just have to embrace the moment. We have to embrace the season that we're going through. We have to weather the storm because there's no easy exit. It's not an easy process. We have to weather the storm. It kind of reminded me of, when I was in college and I had to take so many courses and it was so many hours. And the reality of it is the only way I was going to get my teaching degree or my certification, whatever the case is, the only way it was going to happen, I had to weather the storm. I had to go to class. There was no easy way. There was no easy way out. I had to take the courses I had to take. Every semester, I knew what courses I had to take. And there was no easy way. It wasn't no handouts. It was no shortcuts. I had to weather the storm. But I appreciate the storm. I appreciate the process because I learned patience. I appreciate the process because I learned how to persevere. I appreciate the process. I appreciate weathering the storm because it helped me to understand the importance of persevering. When you think about perseverance, we live in a microwave time. The time frame we're living in is very microwave. And that means we want stuff to happen so fast. But when you're weathering the storm, it doesn't happen fast. Sometimes when you're weathering the storm, you're seeing things develop. It may be developing very slow, all right? But you're seeing things develop. You're seeing things come together, and you can't push your way through. You have to weather your way through, all right? There's no back door. There's no back door. Sometimes we want to find an easy way. We want to take the back door, and maybe if I take the back door out, I can get done with it quicker. Nope. Because what happens is when you try to find an alternative way rather than weathering the storm, it only makes your process longer. So we have to learn how to weather the storm because there's no need to make the process longer. And I know, weathering the storm is so challenging. Weathering the storm is so overwhelming because we have to go through this process. We have to go through every step. Every step. But every step is important. Every step is teaching you how to be patient. Every step is teaching you that as you weather the storm, it's showing you the importance of being patient. It's showing you the process of patience. It's showing you the process of persevering. And so weather the storm. I know we don't like it, but you will be grateful, you will be thankful when you get through it. As I go back to, the analogy I gave about me, going through college and getting my teaching degree and all that kind of thing. Now that I weathered the storm, I had to take all the different tests and had to go to class and do all the things that was necessary for me to get my teaching degree. I had to weather the storm. Guess what? The weather was bad some days. Some days the weather was really nice and I didn't want to go to class. But the reality of it is I would have never accomplished what I've accomplished until I weathered the storm. So I want to encourage somebody. Weathering the storm is not a bad thing. Weathering the storm is not a bad thing. But weathering the storm is worth it. Weathering the storm is not a bad thing, but weathering the storm is worth it because at the end, you're going to be so much more grateful. It almost kind of reminds me of when, it's one thing for somebody to give you something, but then when you have to earn it yourself, you appreciate it more. When somebody gives you something, you may take care of it to the best of your ability, but when you have to work for it yourself and you use your hard-earned money or you put your time and dedication in to get whatever it is, it seems, and it's truthful, you will appreciate what you purchased more because the work and the time that you put in it. But when somebody gives something to you, you can kind of throw it to the side. You can say, I don't care, because you didn't have to weather the process to get it. They just gave it to you. But when you have to work for it, when you have to spend your hard-earned money for it, when you have to put your time into it, when you have to put your sweat equity into it, your work ethic, when you have to give all of yourself to accomplish whatever it is, you will appreciate the process the more. So weather the storm. Maybe this is your season, you have to weather it. Maybe this is your season that, the season before you were able to get around some things and you was able to do some things your kind of way. You was able to get the results that you wanted. But then this season that you're in now, guess what? You have to weather it. Guess what? There's no easy way out. Guess what? You got to work your way through. Guess what? You got to persevere all the way through. Guess what? It's up to you for you to get through the storm. And when I talk about the storm, I'm just not talking about bad things. I'm just talking about the process of life. I'm talking about the journey. I'm talking about the things that we have to go through. All right. We all have to go through something. We all have to go through something. But the reality is I want to encourage somebody to weather the storm. Keep pushing. I know it seems like a long journey. I know it seems like it's never going to come to an end. When you're weathering the storm, it never seems like an end. There's an end to it. It just seems like it's so much longer. But if you focus not on how much you have accomplished, if you just focus on keep grinding until the end. See, what happens is oftentimes when we begin to complain, that kind of messes up our focus. See, when you begin to complain, it only makes weathering the storm harder. Because now you begin to manipulate yourself, begin to talk yourself out of weathering the storm. You be trying to find another way of doing something rather than weathering the storm. And the sad part about it is, or let me say the good part about it is, the only way you're gonna get to the end, you got to go through. Only way you're gonna get to the end, you got to go through. You can't get out, but you got to weather the storm. It's not going to be easy, but you got to weather the storm. See, I don't mind going through the storm. I don't even mind being in the storm. See, there's nothing wrong with going through the storm because it's making me better. It's teaching me things. There's a learning process when you're weathering the storm. It's a learning process. If we will really begin to embrace the things that we are experiencing as we're weathering the storm, we will see how the storm and the things of life that we're going through, we'll see how it's making us. We'll see how it's sharpening us. We'll see how it's strengthening us. So it's so important that we embrace on weathering the storm so we can learn the importance of patience, so we can learn the importance of persevering, so we can learn the importance of working hard through the whole process. Now, as I go back to my analogy, I'm so much more happier now. I weathered the storm. The result is, I got my teaching degree, so I can teach and empower young people and empower adults and all that kind of good thing. But the reality of, guess what? If I never weathered the storm, I wouldn't be in the position I am in now. All because I had to weather the storm. See, sometimes weathering the storms will position you better. If you just weather the storm, it will position you better. It will position you sometimes right where God wanted you to be, but you didn't want to weather the storm. And the good thing about it is this: as I'm weathering the storm, the Lord is still with me. As I'm in the midst of the storm, He's with me. As I go through the storm, He's with me. Listen, just weather the storm. You're not alone. You're not alone. You know what? Even going through, as you're weathering the storm, sometimes you're going to find out who's really with you and who isn't. It wasn't until you had to weather the storm to find out who's really with you and who isn't. All through weathering the storm. Because when life hits you hard, oftentimes we really find out who's really with us. We'll find out who's really in our corner. We'll find out, because sometimes even weathering the storm is good to have the right people in your life, because they can encourage you as you weather the storm. They can help keep you focused as you weather the storm. See, real friends and real covenant partners, as you're weathering the storm, they're weathering the storm with you. Not only is the Lord with you, but you got people that are in covenant agreement with you, and they're helping you as you weather the storm. And they're weathering the storm with you because, listen, they're learning how to be patient with you. Because they're being patient with you as you go through, and they're encouraging you as you go through. And so guess what? As you're learning how to be patient, your covenant partners, your brothers and sisters that are really close to you, are learning how to be patient too. So there's so much in learning how to weather the storm. But just know, if I weather through the storm, I'm going to make it to the other side. If I weather the storm, I'm going to make it to the end. See, the storm is not designed to take you out. All right? The storm is really not designed to overwhelm you. It's really not. It's when we get in the way. It's when our selfishness and our impatientness and all this kind of thing, that's when the storm gets hard. Because we begin to complain and we begin to grumble. And see, these things are the things that distracts us from weathering the storm. If you would have just focused and understood that, this storm is only temporary. This storm is not going to last always. This storm is going to come to an end. Let me weather the storm because it's designed for me to get it through. Let me weather the storm because I still got victory on my life. Let me weather the storm. Let me weather the storm because you're going to make it. You're going to make it. So I just wanted to take these few minutes just to encourage somebody as I kind of meditate on this today that, weather the storm. Some seasons you're going to have to weather the storm. Some seasons, there's no way out. Some seasons, this is the way you got to go. Some seasons, listen, the decisions you're making is all towards getting through. There's no way out. There's no back door. There's no easy pass. There's no shortcut. See, when I drive, I like to take a lot of back streets, and because I want to find the shortcuts to get away from traffic. But guess what? There are some places I have to travel, and guess what? I gotta weather all that storm. I gotta weather all that traffic because there's no back roads to get to where I gotta go. I gotta go through the traffic to get to my destination. And that's what it is to give you another analogy of weathering the storm. Sometimes the back roads and the side roads that I normally take to navigate through the city, there are some places that I have to go. I can't even take those back roads because it's only going to push me further away. But the only way I'm going to get to my destination is I got to go through maybe the heavy traffic. I got to go through all these cars. All the things that I was trying to avoid are the things that I got to go through to get through the storm. So something to think about, something to meditate on. What season of your life are you in? Are you in a season that you have to weather the storm? Are you in a season where there's no more shortcuts? There's no more easy way outs. You have to bear it. You have to persevere. You got to be patient. You got to encourage yourself. You got to motivate yourself. You got to speak life to yourself as you're going through. Every day you got to get up and speak life. to yourself so you can weather the storm. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself. You got to encourage yourself as you weather the storm. Why? Because you have to finish the course. You have to get through the storm. Because guess what? Somebody else is gonna have to weather the storm. But if you learn how to weather the storm, you can encourage somebody else to weather the storm. See, it's hard to encourage somebody to weather the storm if you ain't never done it. It's hard to tell somebody how to get to the other side, how to persevere, how to work your way through a situation if you never work through a situation. If you're so used to giving up and throwing in the towel, you will never know how to get to the other side until you go through it yourself. And there are some times God will allow us to weather the storm. He will allow us to go through the process to get to the other side. And we will learn. And when you get to the other side, listen, you're going to learn how to give God the praise. So, Lord, I thank you for the process. Lord, I thank you for the storm. But we got to learn how to give God praise in the midst of the storm. As you're weathering it, you got to give God praise instead of complaining through the storm. So weather the storm. You're going to win anyhow. You're going to make it anyhow. Weathering the storm is not the end. Life is not over just because you got to weather the storm. All right? So weather it. Go through it. Embrace the process. Enjoy the process of weathering the storm. There's no more shortcuts. There's no more easy way out. God is saying this is what this is the path that he has for us. You got to go through it. But even though you're going through it, you're going to make it. You're going to make it. You're going to make it. So I'm going to close with that. I just wanted to share this. I've been meditating on it all day, and just wanted to uplift somebody's spirit because we're all in different seasons. I've been doing a teaching on the press, the stretching, and the pursuit. And those are just different seasons of our life. Some of us are going through the press, and then some of us are going through a season of the stretching, where God is stretching you. He's trying to mature you in the faith and trying to mature you in love, trying to mature you in forgiveness in these different areas of your life that you don't want to mature. And then sometimes there's a press. Sometimes you got to press your way through. And in spite of all the challenges, you got to press your way through. You got to keep pressing in spite of. And when you think about the press, that person has to be persistent and that person got to persevere in the midst of the press. And the press is despite of whatever obstacles, challenges that may come your way, I got to press through. And so when you're weathering the storm, these obstacles and challenges, you're going to face them. Yes, sir. Bless you, Pastor. Love you, big bro. Got to weather it. Every season is different. Sometimes God is calling us to weather this storm because he's preparing us for something better. So we have to mature in this season. He's stretching our faith. We have to learn how to press through, get out of the flesh, and stay in the spirit. So we got to press our way through. God continue to stretch me as I pursue after you. Because God is preparing us. If God is stretching you, he's preparing you for something greater. He's maturing you for something greater. If you're pressing your way through, God is trying to show you how to persevere in this season. He's showing you how to be persistent in this season. He's showing you how to be patient in this season. So there's different seasons that we go through. And guess what? And as we persevere through the storm, as we weather the storm, guess what? We're going to experience a lot of stretching. We're going to experience a lot of press. But we must never stop pursuing God. No matter the press, doesn't matter the stretch, but I can't stop pursuing God. Keep pushing. Keep pressing towards the mark. Keep pursuing after the Lord, because the pursuing after the Lord is only making you better. So listen, God bless. Feel free to share if what I've shared on today has encouraged you. Pray that you can share it with somebody that may need the same encouragement. As I always say on tomorrow, if you have not fellowship with us at Standard Gap Ministries, Feel free to come fellowship with us for our worship and word service. Every Sunday, we'll worship the Lord until he says it's time to preach. And if he doesn't say it's time to preach, we will just continue to pray and worship the Lord. So if you've never experienced one of our worship and word services, we invite you. If you're in the Youngstown, Warren, Boardman, Canfield, surrounding areas, we invite you to come on out and fellowship with us. We would love to have you. Our service starts at 10:30. Our address is 3507 Suite 3, Canfield Road. We would love for you to come on out and fellowship with us. Worship starts at 10:30. Our service goes live at 11 a.m. God has really been moving and in speaking. He's been moving in a powerful way. We're just seeking his face and worshiping the Lord, and God is speaking and moving, and people's lives are being impacted. So we would love for you to experience that with us. All right. So definitely come on out and fellowship with us. This upcoming week, we have our Back to Basics conference. My big brother, he's my blood brother. We're about 7.5 years apart. He's a bishop. He's coming home, and we do our Back to Basics conference here in Youngstown. Begins on Thursday of next week, Thursday through Saturday, and then he'll be preaching on the following Sunday. So listen, if you got some spare time and your schedule is not cluttered with a lot of stuff, feel free to come fellowship with us on this upcoming week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're going to have powerful worship, powerful prayer. Listen, we believe God is going to move in a mighty way because we desire and we're expecting God to move. We have a healthy expectation. We're believing that God will move, and that's the expectation that we have. So come on out and fellowship with us Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 7 p.m. 3 nights of awesome men and women of God that are going to be going forth those nights. So come on out and fellowship with us. Listen, God bless you all. Love you all. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, thank you, my YouTubers that jumped on. Appreciate the likes. Feel free to share. Feel free to share with somebody that may be inspired by this. Definitely subscribe today. It's an easy subscription. Hit that button, subscribe, and you'll see many more of our teachings, our inspirational moments, all that good stuff. To my Facebook people, I'm going to share my YouTube link as well after this video is over. Feel free to subscribe. It's a free subscription. I need your subscription as we continue to grow this ministry, not just on Facebook, but on YouTube, and because we want to reach as many people as possible. So God bless you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. And tune in tomorrow, 11 a.m. We tune in live. God bless you.